Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. One of the benefits of being the newest member of this committee is I get to hear all of the debate before I commence with my remarks. And I think today's debate has been illuminating. However, there's one concern I have, which is so much of the discussion has been divorced from the underlying investments that we are poised to make within the Build Back Better budget reconciliation plan that we are debating today. And I think it's important for us to bring the debate back to that core tenet that at the end of the day is the underpinning behind why we're here today. So, Ranking Member and Chairman Yarmuth, I want to say thank you for both of you for being here. I'm just going to go through a couple of the investments, and I guess I'd like to get a better sense as to whether you support them or whether you oppose them. So my understanding is that this bill includes a Herculean investment, as my colleague Ms. Ross explained, in community colleges, making community colleges free for every American. Community colleges in Colorado, state that I represent, in Kentucky, in southeastern Missouri, across our country. Mr. Yarmuth, Chairman, do you support that?
Totally support that.
Mr. Smith?
We have a process called A+ in the state of Missouri where you go through certain parameters with receiving certain amount of tutoring, community involvement, and academics, and you get your junior college paid for. So the state of Missouri already has a process that they're funding themselves in doing that. I would like to point on the child tax credit.
I'm going to get to that. I appreciate you answering my question. Sounds like a great program in Missouri, and boy, would it be wonderful for every other student in the United States of America to be able to access free community college, which we're poised to do as part of this reconciliation bill. My understanding is that this bill also includes an expansion for the first time in 55 years of various Medicare benefits, specifically vision, so that senior citizens can go and buy eyeglasses when they need them, dental benefits, so that a senior citizen can go to the dentist, and hearing benefits, so that they can get a hearing aid. Mr. Yarmuth, you support that?
Totally. I don't know how you, again, respond to the growing senior population in the country, and so many of whom rely on Social Security for a significant part of their, or all of their income, and deny them the ability to have care for the basic senses that allow you to live your life in a dignified and enjoyable way, hearing, dental, and vision. If you can't see, if you can't hear, and if you can't eat, then you're not going to have much of a retirement.
Thank
yes,
you.
very
Mr.
important.
Mr. Smith?
The concern under a fiscal crisis would definitely make the programs that are most vulnerable depend on, such as Medicare and Social Security, the most vulnerable. And when you have $68 trillion worth of reckless spending, that only threatens Medicare as we know it, and that is a huge concern. We need to make sure that Medicare does not go insolvent, which is already projected in years to come. Continuing to expand to an already threatened insolvent program is a huge concern, and we need to fix it before we expand it.
Appreciate that. I wanted to make sure I let you finish your answers, but I take that's a no, that you don't support the expansion of
Medicare is a very important program, and we don't want it to go insolvent, and reckless spending will cause it to go insolvent.
Okay, well, I guess I hear what you're saying, and I'm not, I don't want to pejoratively describe your views, so you're entitled to your views on this, but I think you could probably fairly say that you oppose expanding Medicare benefits to include dental, vision, and hearing at this time. That's what you're saying, right?
I want to make sure that reckless spending does not destroy Medicare, and this bill destroys Medicare by reckless spending.
I'll reclaim my time. The reconciliation bill includes, as Chairman Yarmuth so eloquently put it, an expansion of hearing, vision, and dental benefits for the first time in Medicare's history since the program was enacted in 55 years ago. Obviously, the American people can judge as to their representatives' views on that particular subject in terms of how they vote on this reconciliation bill. My understanding is that the bill also includes upwards of $18 billion to upgrade various VA facilities across the country. Is that right, Chairman Yarmuth?
That is correct, and I think we have a moral obligation to those who have sacrificed so much for us, and we know that that's an investment that is justified in many ways. But I want to add one thing. When the ranking member refers to $68 billion worth of reckless spending, $1 trillion of reckless spending, he's including Social Security, Medicare, defense spending, Medicaid, and all of the things that this government does. If everything we're doing right now is reckless spending, we're really doing a horrible job and have for a long time.
Mr. Smith, VA facilities, $18 billion upgrade.
When you talk about reckless spending, when you're giving subsidies to wealthy environmentalists,
Mr.
that
Smith,
is
that's not
wealthy spending.
That wasn't my question. And I've done a good job, I think, of being respectful and trying to just, I'm asking you.
In this proposal, you're doing an increase of 16% across the board in everything non-defense related. It flatlines our men and women and our troops. Where it actually will be the lowest it's been in 80 years. That's a concern. And when you're putting a priority to our men and women in uniform, make sure you put a priority. But unfortunately, this bill does not do that.
So again, and I think this goes to the point that Mr. Morelli was making around the inability for us to, I think, respect each other's own worldviews. At the end of the day, the facts are the facts. $18 billion to upgrade VA facilities. I was simply asking whether or not the ranking member and the budget chairman agree with that, disagree with it. Sounds like the budget chairman certainly agrees with it. I didn't get an answer either way out of the ranking member, but that's okay.
We should not be spending more on interest than we do towards our military.
Mr. Smith,
we should not.
The bottom line, I'm not going to go through the litany of various investments that this bill makes, but I think it's important as the American people considers both the debate that this committee is having today and the debate that we will have on the floor tonight and tomorrow. What is at stake? Because I've heard a lot of noise around supposed concerns with respect to bipartisanship and various concerns regarding the deficit, and very little by way of the specific investments that we are poised to make today if we get this done. Finally, I will just say, I was not here in 2017. My colleague, myself, Mr. Morelli, Ms. Rose, Mr. Eschenthaler, we were all new to the Congress. But I must say, I've done my homework, and reading about what had happened before I got to Congress versus the revisionist history that I've heard from some today during the course of today's proceedings feels like I'm in the twilight zone. In 2017, the Republican tax bill was introduced on November 2nd. 7 days later, it passed out of the Ways and Means Committee on a party line vote. 7 days after that, it passed out of the House of Representatives on a party line vote. The Senate Finance Committee passed it the same day. Added trillions of dollars to the deficit. And to now hear folks bemoaning the supposed lack of bipartisanship when we're considering both a bipartisan infrastructure deal that garnered the votes of many Republicans in the United States Senate and a reconciliation bill that ultimately virtually every member of our institution will have an opportunity to shape during the reconciliation process. 13 committees. There's not a single person in this room who does not serve on one of the committees of jurisdiction that will be marking up the resolution. Ours is already scheduled. I think it's I serve on the House Natural Resources Committee. September 2nd, Republican, Democratic members, we will get together. We will have a robust debate about our priorities and where the investments ought to be. We'll negotiate. We will compromise. We'll come up with a finished product. That's what governing is all about. But to hear some of my colleagues on their side tell it, it's as though none of that is poised to happen in the coming weeks once we approve the resolution today. So, again, I am all for bipartisanship and doing our part to try to reach a consensus. I believe that members are going to be able to have an opportunity to have their say in the coming weeks, but they will only have that opportunity if we pass this rule enabling the budget resolution to proceed. And that's why I'll be supporting it. And with that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate your comments. I want to thank both of you for being here. And so while you were talking, my staff kept on texting me and saying to me, like, "What the hell did you just say?" To me, meaning to me. And so I thought it was like, because I said I don't want to see poor people get screwed. That was they didn't like the language. But apparently, in my attempt to wax eloquently, saying I don't know how much longer I'm going to be here. Twitter's like, what am I doing, right? So, so to your disappointment, I'm going nowhere, all right? And I intend to be chairman of this committee for a very, very long time, and I feel assured of that once this reconciliation bill gets passed and the American people see all the good things in it. So let me clear that up, but I don't know, I didn't think there was, I just was waxing philosophical, and all of a sudden I get in trouble with my communications director, like, what the hell are you saying? Anyway, yeah, you want to say something?
I was just going to
You don't
observe that we would miss you if you
I know
left.
you would miss, you'd miss me like a toothache.
But I don't think you need to worry about the chairmanship position. There are things beyond your control there.
Right, I'm going, anyway, whatever. But thank you both for being here, and no other questions, you are dismissed. Thank you. All right, so that closes the, any other members wish to testify on S-Con Res 14? Seeing none.